Hello and welcome to Cryptid by Region, Zambia. When I started out with planning today's video, I had quite a list of locations that I would like to visit. However, a lot of these well-known places have a distinct problem, where most all weird sightings fell under the category of myth. This is a reoccurring problem with some areas, since the term cryptid really wasn't commonplace years ago, and everything odd became lumped in with the same title. So, in the future, I'll have my work cut out for me trying to figure this out, but in the meantime, I found quite an interesting location for us today. While I do want to note that while I simply say Zambia, the official name actually is Republic of Zambia. So, without further rambling, let's continue our Cryptid Family World Tour as we travel from our previous location of Ukraine and head directly south to the Republic of Zambia. People have inhabited the area of Zambia since 300,000 BC. Following this, the migrant people known as the Bantu started to make their way throughout Central and Southern Africa. This movement is known as the largest human migration in all of history. With this, two groups emerged known as the Batwa and Khoisan people, and they quickly became a quite dominant presence. The Bantu were a fairly advanced culture, and many believe that they were the first to introduce ironworking to Africa. Not only this, but their interest in mathematics was unmatched at the time. For the most part, these people were self-sufficient, but they eventually constructed a great trading post known as Ingombe Ilade. This allowed for trade with local people, and with China, India, and even Portugal. The Bantu people continued to expand, and with the inclusion of the Chiwa culture, in 1480 the Maravi Empire was established, which consisted of a quarter of Africa. This empire remained until 1891, when it fell due to internal disputes about secession and from attacks by the Ngoni and Yao tribes. In 1888, Cecil Rhodes, a British capitalist known mainly for his ventures in mining, made his way into Central Africa in order to obtain mineral rights from the local chieftains, in what many consider questionable treaties. This sudden interest began due to there being vast copper lodes found in the surrounding areas. With his involvement, Zambia and Zimbabwe were now called Northern and Southern Rhodesia, and the area effectively became a British protectorate around 1924. This simply meant that it was now a state that would be protected and controlled by England. By 1954, Rhodesia and the present-day Malawi were combined into the Central African Federation, even though much of the local population were strongly against the move, specifically since the action gave the Queen more power in the land. The native people expressed their concerns of not having enough participation in the government. Eventually, an election was held to address the issues, and the African majority had enough votes to push for Rhodesia to leave the Federation. Following this, Northern Rhodesia became known as the Republic of Zambia on October 24, 1964. This action, in turn, made the area independent. The Republic of Zambia has a very unique flag, and it was created by a local artist named Gabrielle Ellison on the same day the area became independent. It effectively appears to have a flag within a flag, which is somewhat uncommon. On the main field of the banner, it is predominantly a green color, which is said to represent the area's vegetation and natural resources. In the lower right-hand corner, we have a symbol of three stripes, which all have their own meanings. The red stripe symbolizes the struggle for freedom, the black stripe represents the people, and the orange stripe is for the country's mineral wealth, that of which being mainly copper. Finally, the symbol of an eagle in flight is above this, and it stands for the freedom of Zambia and also the people's ability to rise above the country's problems. So, let's look at those cryptids. When it comes to the cryptids found here, I was shocked to find that just about 90% of them are water-based creatures. I suppose this sort of makes sense to a degree, since the area boasts 13 man-made lakes and 3 natural lakes, with Tanganyika being the longest and one of the deepest ones found in the world. That is quite a lot of water for one area to have. As a note, this location has what is called the African Great Lakes, so as a fair warning, we aren't going to have much time on land in this adventure. With that said, since we have so many water creatures to talk about, I would like to start our list with a non-aquatic one. This would be a pteranodon type known as the Kongamato. The being has been given the name of Overwhelmer of Boats, and while seen in a lot of locations, it is known to make its home primarily in the Jayundu swamp. Some have described it as a flying lizard, but typically it is said to have leathery wings like a bat, its red-colored body is featherless, it has a wingspan that is 4 to 7 feet wide, and it has a long beak that is filled with razor-sharp teeth. While these creatures are known to mainly eat fish, they do have a taste for human flesh as well. Through the early years, many people were attacked by the being, and allegedly even a few have been killed. The nickname itself was given due to how the creature would frequently capsize canoes and attack the inhabitants if they drew too close. I saw an odd report that it said sometimes a canoe would slow down to a dead stop, and no matter how hard the person paddled, it wouldn't move. This was due to the creature holding onto the boat from under the water. Weirdly, part of the lore even claims that this being will uncover freshly dug graves and feast on the bodies of the deceased. It is said that in the 1920s, after hearing reports of the creature, a picture of a pterodactyl was shown to a local tribe, along with their headman named Kaninga, and they all agreed it depicted the very being that they had been seeing. Not only this, but other similar cryptids are found in many locations in Africa. The first known sighting is somewhat debated, but it was first described by explorer Frank Welland in 1923. In 1956, an engineer named J.P.F. Brown was traveling along Lake Bangweulu when he encountered one. On this trip at 6 p.m., he stopped his vehicle to get his canteen out of the trunk of his car. While doing so, he spotted two flying creatures that he described as prehistoric, with a long tail and beak soaring silently overhead. At one point, one of the beings opened its mouth, and he saw many rows of sharp teeth. Then, a year later, a man was admitted to a hospital at Fort Rosebery, which is close to the first sighting, with severe deep wounds on his chest. When asked what happened, he claimed that he had been attacked by a great bird. When asked to draw a picture of his assailant, he sketched a pterodactyl-like creature. So, it is time that we start looking into the water for some really odd creatures, many of which I am sure you will be unexpecting. A beast found in this area can only be described as a water lion. These creatures are found all over the continent, and they are exactly what the name sounds. They are typically said to be a semi-aquatic cat-like being that has striped fur, a long tail, are between 8 and 12 feet long, have protruding long fangs like a saber-toothed tiger. While one may assume that they are simply a cat swimming in the water, they are actually known to make their home there. These felines have a habit of killing hippos, but are known to attack humans as well. It is well documented that one actually killed a French soldier while crossing the river. While this all may sound humorous, there is some thought-provoking evidence to support their existence. Not only are stories found from all over, but one tribal chief even had a skull of such a creature in his collection. There have been various stories and even photographs of hippos being found dead, with unusual saber-teeth-like marks found on their bodies, of which it was said that the injuries didn't match any known animal. If this wasn't enough, a cave painting was found that showed many aquatic animals, but one present was a long-toothed cat that was shown attacking a creature while under the water. Now, we move on to two creatures that are fairly similar, but I'll discuss them separately. The first of which is the Ichi Sangha. There isn't much information about this creature, but I'll provide what is reported. This beast is said to resemble a rhinoceros, but it has one singular, extremely long curved horn, and it is aquatic. This creature is found in the Kafui River, and while it is considered an herbivore, it seems to have a hatred for hippos. It is said that if they see the creature nearby, they will sneak up on it with surprising stealth abilities, and gore it with its horn. Apparently, it has been known to do the same thing to humans as well, and as such is a greatly feared beast. In a real twist, it is said that the animal will actually stay nearby its kill, almost protecting it. What makes this odd is that it doesn't actually eat meat, so this purely seems like it is protecting its territory. Another creature that is very close in description is the Chapekwe. This is known to live around Lake Bangweulu, and it resembles an elephant, minus the trunk, and it has a large straight horn coming from its nose. The difference between the two was that this creature was said to have a tail of a crocodile, and it left behind a large three-pointed toe footprint. This beast has been sighted since the late 1800s, and reports have continued through the years. The Chapekwe will kill and eat hippos as well, but they do so by ripping the animal's throat out. It has been known to attack people and will frequently destroy a canoe and kill all the occupants. Unlike the previously discussed cryptid, this one allegedly has quite a few sightings. One tribe claimed that they encountered such a creature, and it took many of their best hunters a good portion of the day to kill it with spears meant for hippos. In 1840, an elephant tracker named Kaloa stated that while near Tanganyika Lake, he saw the Chapekwe chasing after a hippo. Allegedly, he along with his party managed to kill the beast. In 1901, a naturalist named Louis de Vries claimed that while camping in the Kafue region, he and his group saw the creature floating in the deep waters twice. At first they thought it was a hippo, but then noticed a long horn. One party member shot at the creature and it thrashed about and sank under the water. On the following day they searched for signs of the creature and did find its footprints along the bank. In the 1970s, a Zambian biologist simply known as Peter claimed to be a skeptic about the creature's existence and decided to test the stories out. Allegedly, he imported a small herd of hippos into the area around Lake Bangweulu, and shockingly, over the next few weeks, they all disappeared without a trace. It should be noted that what really makes these sightings interesting is that similar creatures are found in other areas. In Cameroon, they have the Ngubu. The Republic of the Congo has the Imela Intuka, and Chad has the Abu Karn. It is always intriguing when things like this happen, much like the various stories about Bigfoot or Nessie-like beings. As usual, I couldn't talk about every cryptid found here, or maybe it is more appropriate to say that a lot of them are fairly deficient in information. So, here's our honorable mention section. Starting off, I found something really weird with Zambia. I tried to look for our typical Bigfoot stories, but was shocked to find that there really aren't any. Granted, surrounding areas do have such lore, but apparently not so much in this region. The closest I got to anything akin to this was a mere passing discussion about forest apes. So, does this qualify as a Bigfoot? Maybe, but I'll leave that up to you. I found a similar occurrence when it came to our second most popular honorable mention section candidate, which is dogmen. They are known in the surrounding area, but apparently not here. I would assume both Bigfoot and dogmen would cross the border from time to time, but that is pure speculation on my part. Weirdly, and for the first time in one of my videos, I can state that there are rumors of a unicorn being found in this country. While not technically a cryptid, I couldn't help but bring attention to a creature known to be a sorcerer's familiar known as Nkala. What makes this special is that it takes the form of a 4-foot giant crab that is said to have some features of a hippo. While odd, this being is known to eat people's shadows, which some liken to a soul. This area is home to various giant water snakes. The Chapekwe is said to live near Victoria Falls. It is slate gray in color and is large enough to immobilize a canoe. The Funkwe is a massive snake that makes its home in the Kafue River, and it has a tail like a fish. There are legends found all over Africa about a snake that has a crest on its head and can make the sound of a rooster. A real interesting cryptid is Ichi Sangha, found in Bangweulu Swamp. Descriptions vary, but it is said to resemble a large crocodile, but it has smooth skin and its feet possess long hooked claws. Many assume that this is a misidentified monitor lizard, but the skin is completely wrong and it is considered a lot larger than that species. Finally, as mentioned at the beginning of our list, Zambia has a lot of water monsters which can only be described as being akin to a plesiosaur. A few examples of this would be Itoshi from Kafue River and the horned Mbiliuntu from Lake Bangweulu. Although, I must note that the latter one is said to appear more like a smaller sauropod. As I end this, I hope you enjoyed the video, and that I made the Republic of Zambia proud. In saying this, I honestly wonder if I have any viewers from that area. Remember to keep voting for which state you would like to see next in our Cryptid by State series. If my record serves me right, it appears that next week, barring any issue, we'll be visiting Minnesota. If you haven't yet done so, do please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. Also, it would be greatly appreciated if you share my videos with someone you know who may enjoy this type of genre. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later!